Many futurists believe that our universe is a simulation, a computer program running on the hard drive of some super advanced alien civilization's computer system. In 2003, University of Oxford philosopher Nick Bostrom proposed the idea that such an immensely technologically sophisticated species might possess the computational power to run simulations of their ancestors. Like simulations running on the holodeck from Star Trek, a user could experience the distant past on their world, recreating historical moments or entire lifetimes, complete with sentient computer-generated characters with their own minds. Presumably, they would have the capability to run many of these kinds of simulations and would reach a point where the vast majority of the minds on their world would be simulated minds. So the theory is that given the sheer numbers involved, it is more likely that we are simulated beings and our reality is simply a gigantic video game. This would obviously suggest the presence of a creator being responsible for developing our world. Now, I find this conversation fascinating because there's a peculiar irony here. In our more primitive times, our ancestors articulated their belief in a creator in superstitious or religious terms. Despite the lack of evidence to support the claim of an unseen prime mover in the universe, they nonetheless deified this entity. Humans have always desired an answer to the more fundamental questions. Who created us? Who created the cosmos? Why are we here? Is there a deeper meaning to life? Is there a state of existence and consciousness after death? Religion sought to answer these questions, for the most part, in an unsatisfactory manner. But furthermore, throughout history, the most extreme ideologues and theocrats in charge of these religious institutions have often claimed to know the mind of the Creator, manipulating the fearful masses into justifying some of the worst atrocities of mankind in the name of their God. Now, I could make an entire video about how the rise of secularism and atheism in the West have created a vacuum now being filled by cultural Marxism, political correctness, social justice, socialism, and even another religion, as Judeo-Christian values are gradually lost. But that's not what I'm here to explore today. What's extraordinary is that it appears we're coming full circle, because to my eyes, the belief in a simulated universe, complete with some kind of super sophisticated software developer creator, is merely the same argument for God, but couched in modern technological terms, concepts, and language. There are even futurists and proponents of the singularity idea who believe human beings will live forever once they merge with machines, with their consciousness preserved as part of a centralized Borg hive mind type computer database. Our bodies becoming nothing but repositories for our consciousness, which we can store in the cloud and then download into new physical forms whenever we like. We can never be killed because we will have evolved beyond the material world and will have transcended into something ethereal within a vast computer network. This sounds no different to the concept of an eternal soul ascending to heaven and everlasting life. The modern-day futurists have become the mystics and high priests of a new technology-enabled religion, expressed with a conviction not entirely unlike religious faith. It's argued for not through prayer or spiritual terms, but through what I've previously described as ropey science-aided arguments. They'll start saying, scientists now think that the human mind is a holographic projection of consciousness, that consciousness can't be destroyed, something matter can't be destroyed, something energy fields, something black holes, something event horizons, something quantum, blah blah, there's an afterlife and all your dead cats and grandmothers are there waiting for you. I should point out that I'm fully open to the possibility that our universe is indeed a simulation. Human beings create simulations all the time, like video games complete with their own rules, physics, and AI-controlled characters. Even writing a book is effectively a primitive simulation of sorts. If you read a work of fiction, your imagination brings the characters, the setting, the world to life in your mind. It can become as engrossing, believable, and compelling as the real world around you. The words on the page are essentially a code, decoded by your brain, allowing you to visualize the reality written by the author. This is why we become helplessly lost in our favorite scripted dramatic TV shows. From the Scientific American, and there are other reasons to think we might be virtual. For instance, the more we learn about the universe, the more it appears to be based on mathematical laws. Perhaps that is not a given, but a function of the nature of the universe we are living in. If I were a character in a computer game, I would also discover eventually that the rules seemed completely rigid and mathematical, said Max Tegmark, a cosmologist at MIT. That just reflects the computer code in which it was written. Furthermore, ideas from information theory keep showing up in physics. In my research, I found this very strange thing, said James Gates, a theoretical physicist at the University of Maryland. I was driven to error-correcting codes. They're what make browsers work. So why were they in the equations I was studying about quarks and electrons and supersymmetry? This brought me to the stark realization that I could no longer say people like Max are crazy. I was having this conversation with a friend recently, and he made the case that the nature of reality might be not entirely unlike the pages of a book, written in chronological order since the beginning of time. Your life might exist on one paragraph of a single page of this gigantic volume. The next chapter might relate to the next phase of human history or the next moment in the evolution of the universe itself. Even when you die, your life is still preserved on that same page of the book forever. Everything that ever was, everyone who ever existed, everything that has ever happened is recorded in the book. The problem for us simple simulated humans is that we only experience time in one linear direction, and we can't flick back through the pages of the book like Captains Kirk and Picard in the Nexus in Star Trek Generations, where time has no meaning. But perhaps someone can flick back and forth through the book. If all existence is recorded and encoded in such a fashion, and again, the book is just a very simplified analogy here, the question becomes, who's reading the book? Is it being written as we speak? Or has the entire story of the universe been written long ago, and we are merely characters acting out predetermined roles? This entire discussion got me thinking about the Deep Space Nine episode Far Beyond the Stars, in which science fiction writer Benny Russell creates the world of Deep Space Nine as a short story. If matter in the universe can emerge from nothing in order to produce the world that we view today, and if we do indeed exist in a simulation that is indistinguishable from reality, then what is real exactly? As Morpheus asked Neo in The Matrix.
What is real? How do you define real? If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, what you can taste and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain.
But like I say, if the nature of reality is nothing but trying to determine where a simulation begins and ends, well, what if the authors and readers of the book are the very characters preserved within its pages?
Tell me, please, who am I?
Don't you know?
Tell me.
You are the dreamer, and the dream